Hey, this is Jack from Alpha Charts with a state of the market video. Today is April 1st, 2023. Before we get started, this video is for informational purposes only. These are not recommendations to buy, sell, or hold any stock or security. I may hold positions in some of the equities mentioned. Know your time frame and risk tolerance. Also, if you like these videos, please go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel, YouTube channel. I really do appreciate it. And you can find me at AlphaCharts365 on Twitter. Always posting pretty good stuff there. All right, so let's get this going. We have the VWAP from the highs, right? And then we have, which is this yellow line right here. VWAP from the recent lows, right? Potentially topping pattern happening here with a very defined neckline. And then you have this area of resistance that has been historically important. Even if it did pop up above it a little bit, it came right back down. And even if I extend this out this way, you could see how this was support even out here. Okay, so support becomes resistance, resistance. So the question is, does this become resistance again? This 4,100 to 4,170-ish, 4,175, 4,200, something like that. We'll call maybe, let's go and go bigger to 4,200, right? Because that's really the area. It's a little bit even probably bigger than that. And it's where this formation is happening. Now, whether this formation confirms or not, we don't know, right? We don't know. But it was a very strong move on Friday on higher volume. This to me looks like the FOMO trader chasing, right? Could also be end of quarter window dressing. It could be a lot of things. But I don't actually, I know a lot of people were excited about this candle on Friday. I really wasn't. Now that if you're already involved, it was great. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is that a big, large candle into overhead resistance on higher volume, that makes me think that the bulls are one last oomph before the pullback. Now, the pullback is the key part, right? So if we pull back, maybe even to this VWAP, maybe higher, who knows? But so far, this VWAP is starting to have some significance. We'll see if it continues. Maybe it pulls back to the VWAP, right? 39.40. And then starts to move back higher again, making a higher low in this series of higher lows and higher highs, shorter term time frame. That would be the bullish scenario, right? A pullback into VWAP, 39.40-ish, and then going higher. Let me put some moving averages on here too, because I think they tell a little bit of a story. So above the 50 again, and maybe just goes to the 23-day, 39.90, right? You do have the 200-day right over here, 39.35, which is flattening and trying to curl back, trying to curl up, which is a positive, I think. Bullishly lining up moving averages, but they're not lined up yet. Again, a pullback and then move higher would have these all lined up beautifully, actually, right? So that is the bullish case scenario. The bear case is that this rolls over and confirms this topping pattern, gets below this VWAP and the 200-day, and then retests this low and potentially breaks lower, right? That's the bear case. And right now, I just think we're still in no man's land. I know last week was good. Last week was a 3.48% week. You can see the volume actually was lower on the week overall. Well, I know that there was, I think, 2 follow-through days via IBD, but the whole week it was lower. So, with those kind of like manufactured follow-through days on lower volume, prior days, you see this was a follow-through day here, much lower volume, and this was a follow-through day here. Better volume, but still not like, not like this, not like a day like this, right? That's a better day, right? So we'll see. Oh, by the way, I made a monthly chart video, a video about the monthlies. If you're interested in that, I posted it yesterday. I'll probably repost on my Twitter account today. You might want to check that out. I think monthly charts have a ton of information in them. So We went over specifically the narrow breadth also. That's a big deal, I think. All right, so it's called the long view. Anyway, so SPX, nice week, nice move. Not, it's undeniable into potential overhead supply. If you do want to get involved, don't chase it here, especially if it gaps up Monday a little bit, right? Don't chase it here. Wait for a pullback, maybe to 39.80-ish, maybe a little bit lower to 39.40-ish. I don't know, but and get good entries. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But nice 3.48 RSP on the week. 4.4. So RSP outperforming SPX. That's something that we have not seen in a while. Now we are seeing this probably go like to there-ish, right? So there is, again, overhead supply in this area potential. Maybe an inverse head and shoulder, a little complex with this little bloop right there, but a bottoming formation, whatever you want to call it, on the weekly. Let's look at the daily. Here's the daily. And you see why I went a little bit lower in the daily, but this is fine. Actually, I do want to compensate right there for this right here. And so it's coming into supply, no doubt. 50-day is still declining overhead, but you are starting to get the other moving averages starting to shape up a little bit. 200 days still flat. And it's nice to see that the RSP outperformed on the week, the SPX. Yeah, so we were looking at the RSP SPX ratio, and we'll go straight to the line chart, and you could see how, there's your outperformance on the week right there. It's about even the last couple of days of the week. But when you go to a weekly chart, it gets a similar picture, right? Maybe a little bit cleaner. So it's starting to shape up a little bit better. But again, is this just an overdone rally and then we roll back over or not? I think next week would give us much better information. It's the beginning of a new quarter, and people putting on positions for the next quarter or potentially further, right? So a lot of information coming tomorrow. Looking at the Qs, so the Qs have been the leader. Now, here's the difference. Leader, right? The VWAP from the top, Qs are above it. Hasn't done that, well, since here in April of 2022. That's a year ago. And then before that, it was really the topping pattern, right? So it's a big deal that it's above it. But question is, does it stay above it, right? And again, we don't know the answer to that. It is extended. I mean, if you think about it, in the week, it went 3.23. In the last 3 weeks, this has gone 11, 12%. The monthly was, I think, 9%. Yeah, 9.32 on the month, right? So it tells us that, and again, 11% on 3 weeks, things are kind of overdone. Again, as it's moving higher, we're seeing a decrease in volume as well. That's on the daily, and you see the weekly. Again, decent accumulation coming on here. I like that. That's a positive, right? See the ramp up right there? Nice. The question is, did it run too far too fast? We also have bullishly aligned moving averages, which we didn't have in the SPX, right? SPX, they were not bullishly aligned, right? And Qs are bullishly aligned. And what that means is the 9-day is leading, then 23, then 50, and then you have a 200-day, and that 200-day is starting to turn higher. Very, very positive. Now, before we get too excited, something that I noticed from my monthly review, and again, check it out if you want to, the video, is that the leadership was very narrow into the mega caps. That was really interesting, actually. And when we look at the weekly, I think we said we were at 3.23, and equal weights were up 4.34. So again, another nice outperformance by equal weights over the cap weighted, which is, again, it's a beautiful thing. We're starting to see the bullishly aligned moving averages next week. If this continues, that'd be good. But we are also right into overhead supply again on the Qs, right? So that's what I'm saying. You can't chase here because we're into overhead supply, right? Again, is this a beautiful bottoming pattern? I think it is, right? I just don't know if this is the spot where we're able to go straight higher here. I think that it may need a little pullback. Going back to the Qs, again, you may say, it's tough. This is tough. It's not as clean as in the equal weighted Qs. But again, it just ran a lot, right? Even from here to here, we said that was 11%. That's a lot. So expect a pullback of some sort. If this area holds 309 or maybe even down to 300, right? That's possible. Whatever the pullback is, maybe 305 to the 23-day. Expect the pullback to happen and then maybe get in a good position as the pullback happens. Again, I'd be wary of this type of move to start a new positions. Now, IWM has a different message, a different picture, right? This is an equal weighted index by design, and price is still under a flattening 200-day, a declining 50-day, and really did not have the power that we saw in the Qs and in the SPX, equal weighted or cap weighted. And it's probably because it doesn't have as much of the technology exposure, right? Doesn't hold Apple, doesn't hold, Google, doesn't hold Tesla, doesn't hold, Tesla didn't do that great for the month, but the week it did, I think. Yeah, for the week it did, but not for the month. Anyway, but so IWM, it doesn't hold Tesla, doesn't hold Google, doesn't hold Facebook, doesn't hold, Amazon, which did well too. So it's not doing as well, period, because those mega caps are really driving the market. So the question is, does it, rally and then fall back over? And again, this 163, 164 area is a big deal. It's a big deal. It's got to stay above that, and so far it has, and that's important. And we'll see. Does it roll over? Does it retest? And does it go higher at that point and kind of make a double bottom-ish look, or does it roll over and then continue lower? Again, we don't know. So far, all we know is that it's holding up, but it's not doing quite as good as mega caps because of the amount of the holdings, right? The Apple, the Amazons, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that is the fight right in here, right? And IWM is considered to be a risk on index, right? So if you risk on, IWM is going higher. If it's risk off, many times it's going lower. It doesn't have to be, but many times. And IWM growth, again, a little bit better because growthy names were doing a little bit better in the market. So IWM growth makes sense that it's doing a little bit better. And it's still below this area. And again, as much as the other indexes were testing the overhead supply, it really didn't get up there, right? So again, underperforming, so is a declining 50-day. On the week, 4.14. So did what the other, mega cap weighted stocks did. We can see the IWM equal weighted just did not do as good. IWO is also equal weighted, by the way. Not as good, but IWO growth good. All right, that's telling a story. MDY. Here's the MDY. This was my favorite. Again, we have a flattening 200-day. Price is back above it again. For a while, this was starting to rise. I was so happy. Then this happened. And now we're trying to fight back. Here's your 200-day. I'm sorry, your 50-day right above. And, stage two, it's still basing. I was thinking stage two may be coming, but I'm going to have to put stage two off a little bit more in the future. Yeah. Stage right there. And we'll see, again, now there's a lot of room and a lot of supply that is now here. And we have to find out if this could continue. On the week, 4.55, mid caps did very well. And it is equal weighted as well. So that's positive. Again, for me, this is the sweet spot for growth. If you're in the mid cap area, I love those. Yeah, IWM definitely underperforming. Mid caps did good this week. Again, is this a place where I want to start a new position? No, maybe it's got to come back and retest this 200-day. That'd be nice, right? Or maybe right above it, 450-ish, right? A little pullback at the beginning of the week, potentially, and holding here. then we can manage risk more appropriately. Again, just too extended, but I do like that it's came off the bottom, held where it had to, and things are looking good. Can this be a head and shoulders ish top if this rolls back over? Maybe, I don't know. But I do know that it would have to break 430, and it hasn't done that yet. So let's play it for what it is. A pullback. I'd look for this 447 area, 448 to hold. If that holds, I think that that there's more legs into this bull thrust or bull market, whatever we want to call this. Okay. Let's go to some of the sectors. XLF first off. Again, going to the weekly chart. It was up 3.74 in the week. We talked about the $30 level being super, super important. You've seen these videos. I don't need to go over it with you again. And price did bounce where it had to. Had a decent week. Still underneath a lot of supply, a lot of downward pressure, including all the moving averages. This 3261 will be the first test if it gets up to there. If not, is this a bear flag? Right? That's the big question. Again, $30 though. Above $30, I think everything's okay. This breaks down below $30, and I think the whole market is suspect. XLF, really important. Let's look at XSD. Semiconductors. Now, this is equal weighted semiconductors, right? And it pulled back, held where it had to, and now it's trying to move higher. That's a beautiful thing. On the week, 3.55. Not as strong as you would have thought, but still strong. Let's see what SMH did. And here's SMH, right? This is the cap weighted. And again, a little bit more popular, but I like equal weighted when I can. 3.37. So again, not a bad week. Again, didn't really lead, but didn't lag as well. But going back to here, again, semiconductors are saying everything's okay, right? Nothing to worry about. That's what they told me here, and that's what they're saying here. Nothing to worry about. Maybe a little distribution in there, huh? That's kind of interesting. Does SMH show the same thing? Not quite, because you have the mega caps, you have like the NVIDIAs and stuff like that in here. But still, overall, some semiconductors looking pretty good. Let's see, transports up by 2.4 in the week, 2.4 in the day, 5.72 in the week. So big rebound for transports. Still really stuck in a range right at the 200-day. No real direction here, but not breaking down. That's, I think, the positive. Also, you have higher lows right here. So again, this is now the most important higher low right here, the 6750 area. All right, so you have financials held where they had to. Semiconductors rebounded well where they had to. Transports not breaking down. Not breaking out, but not breaking down. Okay. And then let's look at housing. So housing, maybe the false breakdown. We'll see if that constitutes one. Did pull back. This obviously I put in there way months ago. I put these arrows in there. I don't know if it's going to continue higher or not, or if this is going to roll over. But I like that it's above this area, right? It's right at potentially supply. I mean, I could really move this to here and be legit still, and not because this is the important spot right there. Came back. We'll call that a retest. It's a big area. It's okay. And then we'll see if this goes higher or if it goes lower from here, right? I don't know. A lot of these are at supply areas very similar to the SPX and the Qs, right? And so it could go lower if they sort of fall down. Remains to be seen, but it does have a rising 200-day. So again, it's not doing anything wrong. Not leading, but not doing anything wrong. Just kind of moving sideways. So transport's moving sideways, housing moving sideways, some sectors leading, financials held where they had to. So that's important. So market isn't falling apart as of yet, even though things are going into supply. Let's see what the internals are going to tell us. Start with the VIXie. VIX, the VIX. All right, so the VIX fell all week as we would be expected to 18.69. Now, this is an area where sometimes we see a spike in the VIX, right? We saw it here, we saw it here, right? It can go lower, obviously, in a true bull market to the orange line. And you can see how, even could stay below it. But I think that, 1650 for sure is an area of, again, it could stay lower. Doesn't mean it has to spike, but eventually it does spike. But more recently, this has been the area, I think, 18 and a half, where we've seen spikes come in the VIX. So question is, again, going into resistance, are we going to see a spike in the VIX, pull back, and then maybe the rollover and then a more bullish market, right? So that's a contrarian type of play, right? Because everyone's like, last week, it was a really good week. Everyone's like, oh, bulls to the moon, right? But VIX is saying we're starting to get low. And again, we can see from history, it can stay lower longer, but that'd be a completely flip of the market that we're in. And that'd be okay if that's what they want to do. But right now, recent history says that once it gets in this range, we get a little spike in the VIX, maybe to 34, maybe 32, somewhere around there. We'll see if that holds true or not. Credit spreads, we were watching those closely last week, and they came in big time. So the idea was boom, boom, boom. Not that that still can't happen. Again, we have the question mark there because we don't know, but this says that it's less likely to happen, right? That the credit spreads came back in, and that's a big positive. There's no way to spin that bearish, in my opinion. A tightening of credit spreads. So that's good. Again, we'll see if this type of pattern, which we've seen play out numerous times, plays out again. We'll see. We don't know. But as right now, credit spreads look okay, right? They're supportive. Next up will be the put call ratio. Bulls and bears fighting it out right in the middle. Not much to see there. We're not going to spend much time on it. And then going off to breadth studies, you see breadth, again, instead of falling down, definitely increased. We saw that with the outperformance of the equal weighted versus the cap weighted in the SPX and also in the Qs. And again, we had a nice rebound to breadth. So this bear flaggy look did the opposite of what we expected. That's a positive. No doubt about that, right? We're still in weak breadth, but definitely a positive area. So that's great. 10-year yields, kind of did a little whoop-de-doo, but it still hasn't made a move, right? It's still in that 3.5% area. And so no real movement there. And looking at the dollar index fell. And I think that was really good for stocks. And it's down to 102.5, 102.6. And I would love to see it below this 101.2, right? If we get below 101.2, I think that is very supportive of stocks, right? If we get a rebound, that's a higher low right there, then things could, be different. But as of right now, dollar falling, that's a positive. Really want to see below this 101.2, 101.3 area, though. But again, I think that's supportive, right? What did gold do? Gold is still just kind of moving sideways, hasn't made up its mind yet. So, and let's look at Bitcoin, right? We always look at Bitcoin at the end. So let's look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin versus US dollar is at 28,430. What's interesting is, maybe not surprising, Bitcoin is running up against resistance as well. Right? So the correlation between the S&P and Bitcoin, let's do SPY and SPY new pain. Here we go. I think that's good. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting how, Is a correlation? Maybe a little bit. Not, yeah. Yeah. I mean, look at it. It's kind of right. There is a correlation maybe forming there, which is kind of interesting. Anyway, we will see if that continues or not. But it is coming to supply, just like S&P, just like Qs. So wouldn't be surprised if you see a pullback in Bitcoin. Again, maybe to 25,000, 25,004, 5, whatever. And then if it holds there, that would be very significant. And if it follows it through, then that would be significant too. So that's interesting. So just wrapping it all up, looking at the SPX, I think that we are at a point where we don't want to chase, maybe pull back, see where it holds, how far the pullback is, how deep it is, and then we could decide on, how to get involved in the market if we do believe this is a new bull market, which, again, it was helpful last week, right, to the bull case, very helpful to the bull case, even though I personally want to see above 4,200. That's me. I want to see another higher high here. Again, if not, this lower high is still in play, right? High, lower high, lower high, lower high. We take this out, and I'm much more bullish, right? And it's the right side of a new base, and yada yada yada. So that's what I got for you today. So wait for the pull, in my opinion, wait for the pullback, right? Don't chase things. Things are extended. Individual names are very extended. I think AI had an amazing, this is not the day to chase AI, right? Just moved 21%, right? So anyway, have a great day. Y'all take care. Good luck this week.